They say your home is your safe place, the one corner of the world where you can breathe without fear. But that belief shattered for me the moment my garage door creaked open, and I found myself staring down the barrels of police guns, called by a neighbor who never knew when to stop. What none of us knew then was that behind me stood a man whose very presence would change the course of the day. It's the governor himself. It started as an ordinary morning. I was in my driveway, watering the little flower patch my late wife loved. The air smelled of fresh dew, and the hum of distant birds gave me peace. But across the street stood Karen Auer, HOA president. Arms folded, face sharp as a blade. She'd been watching me for weeks, as if waiting for me to slip up. Karen, your garage has been opened past HOA rules 3 times this week. You think you're above the rest of us? I sighed. Me, Karen. I was just organizing old boxes. It's my garage. I'm not hurting anyone. Her lips twisted into a smirk, the kind that promised trouble. Karen, you'll see. Rules are rules. You don't get special treatment. Later that afternoon, an old friend arrived. Not just any friend, Governor Thomas Reed, a man I'd served with in the Army decades ago. He came without cameras, without security, just a tired man looking for refuge. Governor Reed John. I just needed a quiet place, away from noise, away from politics. My wife's sick. The media's hounding me. I trust you more than anyone. I clasped his hand. Me, you're always welcome here, Tom. This house is yours as much as mine. He smiled faintly, relief washing over his face. But Karen, nosy as ever, peeked through her blinds. She didn't recognize him fully, but saw a stranger entering my garage. And to her, that was enough to dial 911 the next evening. I was helping Governor Reed stack a few boxes in my garage. The door was half open, letting the golden sunset pour in. Then came the screech of tires. Red and blue lights flickered across my driveway. My stomach dropped. Me. No. She didn't. Police officers stormed out, weapons drawn. Officer, hands up. Step away from the man. We got a call of a possible break-in, an armed suspect. Governor Reed froze, his hands instinctively half-dash raised. Me, wait. This is my house. He's my friend. But before I could finish, Karen came rushing from across the street, shrieking, Karen, that's him. That's the man. He's dangerous, I told you. Shoot if you have to. Time slowed. The governor stepped forward, trying to explain. Governor Reed. Officers. I am a deafening crack split the air. A gun fired. The governor staggered, falling back into my garage, clutching his side. The world tilted. My chest tightened as rage and horror collided inside me. Me, Tom. The officers realized too late who they'd shot. Their radios exploded with static as names were shouted. Governor Reed. Governor Reed. Karen's face drained of color, her triumphant smirk replaced with frozen terror. The officers scrambled, shouting for medics. Neighbors rushed out, gasping at the sight. And I, kneeling beside my old friend, felt years of loyalty and trust crashing down around me. Governor Reed, don't. Let her win, John. Don't let hate destroy you. Tears blurred my vision as I pressed my palm against his wound. Me, you'll be okay. Stay with me, please. But deep down, I knew life had just taken a turn none of us could ever undo. The gunshot still echoed in my ears as I knelt on the cold garage floor, my hand pressed against Governor Reed's wound. Blood seeped through my fingers, warm and terrifying. The police officers, once so certain and commanding, now stood pale and stiff, their radios alive with frantic chatter. Officer, Governor Reed. It can't be. We didn't. Oh God, me, you didn't what? You didn't listen? You didn't wait? You believed in neighbors' lies over common sense? Karen stood rooted at the edge of the driveway. Her face was drained, her arms limp. For once, she had no words. Paramedics arrived, pushing past the stunned crowd. They worked quickly, lifting Governor Reed onto a stretcher. His eyes found mine again. Governor Reed, John, don't let anger swallow you. Promise me. Tears streaked down my face as I nodded. Me, I promise, Tom, but you hold on, please. They loaded him into the ambulance, sirens wailing as they sped away. The neighborhood stood frozen, whispers rising like a storm. As the ambulance disappeared, the officers turned to me. Their commanding tone was gone, replaced with guilt. "Chief Officer, sir, we will need your statement." This was a terrible mistake. I rose to my feet, shaking, rage boiling inside me. Me mistake? You pulled the trigger on a man trying to speak. You barged into my home based on gossip? And now my best friend is fighting for his life because you couldn't tell the difference between truth and lies. The crowd murmured in agreement. Neighbors who once stayed quiet now glared at the officers. Karen opened her mouth, her voice shaking. Karen, I didn't know. I thought you thought. You always think you know better. You called armed men to my house because of your spite. And now, because of you, blood has been spilled. For the first time since I'd known her, Karen's mask cracked. Her eyes darted wildly, searching for anyone to defend her. But the neighbors stayed silent. Neighbor woman, you went too far, Karen. We all put up with your rules, but this is unforgivable. Karen's lips trembled. She wrapped her arms around herself, shivering though the night air was warm. But inside me, no satisfaction came. Only a heavy ache. That night, I sat alone at my kitchen table, staring at the spot where Governor Reed had bled. The silence was unbearable. My phone buzzed. It was the hospital. The governor had survived surgery, but was in critical condition. Relief washed through me, followed quickly by guilt. If he hadn't come to me, if I had kept the garage door shut, if I had fought harder against Karen's obsession, maybe none of this would have happened. I leaned forward, whispering into the dark, "Me, Lord, please don't take him. Not like this." Around midnight, a knock rattled my front door. When I opened it, Karen stood there, eyes swollen from crying. "Karen, John, I never meant for this. I thought I was protecting the neighborhood. I didn't know it was." Her words hit me like shards of glass. "Me? You want to control Karen? That's all. You wanted to prove you were in charge. And now, you can't take it back."
Oh.
Her tears spilled. "Karen, please. Don't hate me forever. I made a mistake, a terrible mistake. I'll do whatever it takes to fix this." I looked at her, this woman, who had tormented me for months, who now stood broken. Part of me wanted to scream, to unleash every ounce of anger I held. But Governor Reed's words echoed in my mind, "Don't let hate destroy you." I closed the door softly without another word. By morning, the story was everywhere. News vans lined the street, reporters shoving microphones at anyone who'd speak. Governor shot in suburban garage. HOA feud ends in tragedy. The cameras turned toward my house, and I felt my private grief dragged into the spotlight. I wanted to slam the door shut and disappear. But then I saw them, neighbors, forming a quiet line along my driveway, shielding me from reporters. People I barely knew, standing in silent solidarity. It was then I realized this wasn't just about me anymore. It was about truth, justice, and the cost of unchecked hatred. The hospital smelled of antiseptic and quiet fear. I sat in the waiting room, hands clasped tight, eyes on the floor. Every tick of the clock gnawed at my patience. Then a doctor appeared, his expression calm but tired. "Doctor, Mr. Reed is stable. The bullet missed his heart by inches. He's weak, but he's a fighter." Relief burst through me like sunlight piercing a storm. Tears threatened again, but this time they were of gratitude. "Me, thank you, Lord." "Thank you," the doctor continued. "Doctor, he keeps asking for you. You can see him now." I walked into the dim hospital room. Governor Reed lay pale against the sheets, but his eyes were alive, sharp as ever. "Governor Reed, you look worse than me, John." I laughed through my tears. "Me? You scared me half to death. You always did have a way of making an entrance." He chuckled weakly, then grew serious. "Governor Reed, don't let this break you. Don't let anger at that woman consume you. Hate is a poison, John. You taught me that once back in the war." His words cut deep. because I wanted to hate Karen. I wanted her to suffer. But he was right. I gripped his hand. Me, you rest now. I'll handle things here. I promise you, the truth will come out. Back home, the neighborhood was buzzing. Karen's name was whispered with disgust. People she once bullied now openly rejected her authority. At the next HOA meeting, usually stiff and orderly, voices rose in anger. Neighbor man, we're done, Karen. You've gone too far. You put us all in danger. Neighbor woman, you don't deserve to lead this community. We're voting you out. Karen sat trembling, her once commanding presence shriveled into silence. I stood at the back, listening. Part of me wanted to watch her fall completely. But another part, the part that remembered my friend's words, felt only pity. A few days later, I found a letter slipped under my door. Karen's handwriting, shaky and uneven. John, I ruined everything. I thought I was protecting the neighborhood, but the truth is, I was only protecting my pride. I can't undo what I caused, but I'm sorry. More sorry than I've ever been for anything in my life. For a long time, I sat there staring at the words. Anger told me to rip it apart, but grief and wisdom told me something else. Forgiveness doesn't mean forgetting. It means freeing yourself from the chains of hate. That weekend, I walked across the street. Karen opened her door, eyes red, her house unnaturally quiet. She looked smaller than I'd ever seen her. Me, I got your letter. Her chin trembled. Karen, I don't expect forgiveness. I can't live with what I've done. Studied her. This woman who had been a thorn in my side, who had nearly cost me everything. And yet, here she was, broken and human. Me, I don't forgive easily, Karen, but I don't want to carry this hatred anymore. What happened can't be undone. But maybe we can all learn from it. She burst into tears, covering her face. For the first time, I saw not an enemy, but a deeply flawed soul. Weeks later, Governor Reed was discharged. When he walked through my front door again, lower, weaker, but alive, the neighbors gathered outside to cheer. He raised his hand and smiled. Governor Reed, your community stood together when it mattered. Don't ever forget that unity is stronger than fear. His words planted something in all of us. Even Karen, who stood at the edge of the crowd, silently nodding. Life slowly returned to normal, though scars remained. My garage still carried faint stains. My heart still carried the weight of that night. But I also carried something more: gratitude. Gratitude for survival, for community, for second chances. As I sat on my porch one evening, the sun dipping low, I thought of my late wife, of my friend who nearly died, and even of Karen. Life is fragile, unpredictable, but it is also forgiving if we let it be. I whispered to myself. Me. Home isn't just walls. It's the people, the lessons, and the forgiveness we carry inside. And in that moment, I felt peace.